The woman across the room, whose wardrobe you assumed cost 3 times yours, is almost certainly working with fewer pieces than you own. I learned this watching hundreds of women over 15 years inside the luxury fashion industry, sitting in boardrooms in Manhattan, dining rooms in Paris, watching women with real money and women with new money try to occupy the same room. The difference between her closet and yours was never what was in it. It was what she had done to it. Today, I'm giving you 6 specific interventions, each one backed by actual published research, not opinion, not a trend, that will make the clothes already hanging in your closet perform like a completely new wardrobe. No purchases required. I'm going to walk through each one slowly because the value here isn't in the headline. It's in the mechanism underneath it, and I don't believe in handing you a rule without showing you exactly why it works. And for the women who stay until the end, I have something free waiting for you. The Elegant Morning Routine Checklist. Keep watching. 1. The options problem. Most women assume I have nothing to wear means they need more. I'm going to show you why that instinct is exactly backwards. But before I do, there's something you need to understand first. 𝐈𝐬𝐚𝐞𝐿, a researcher I've followed for years. My own field was art history at Columbia. But her work on choice architecture has stayed with me since graduate school. Found something striking with her colleague Mark Lepper. Across multiple experiments, increasing the number of options presented to a person from 6 to 24 dropped their decision completion rates by roughly 900% and lowered their satisfaction with whatever they eventually chose. The effect grows stronger the higher the stakes feel. And getting dressed for a meaningful event absolutely qualifies as high stakes, whether we admit that to ourselves or not. I watched this play out with a woman I know who sits on a corporate board. She told me she deliberately keeps her professional wardrobe small, not because she can't afford more, but because, in her words, I don't want to spend my morning cognition on a blazer decision. I need that cognition for the boardroom. That sentence stayed with me. A wardrobe of 40 pieces requires your brain to process and silently compare 40 simultaneous candidates before 8 in the morning. At that volume, the brain doesn't actually make a decision anymore. It defaults. It reaches for the same 3 familiar pieces, or it abandons the exercise entirely, and you end up standing in front of a full closet feeling as though you own nothing. The women who look most intentionally put together are almost never the ones with the largest closets. Their wardrobe is smaller because the decision was already made before the morning began, not because they have less. The fix. Reduce your active rotation to a maximum of 33 pieces across every category. A number rooted in Project 333, the capsule framework developed by minimalist stylist Courtney Carver. Participants who adopt it consistently report feeling they have more to wear, not less, within the first 2 weeks. Box everything outside that number and move it out of your primary closet space entirely. Out of sight matters here. Live with what remains for 60 full days before you reassess anything, which is exactly what our Undeniables Complete system covers in detail. It includes a full grooming and garment care module built on this same principle, preserving the visible presence of what you already own rather than replacing it prematurely. It covers in detail 7 complete guides, including identity, presence, first impressions, social mastery, wellness, standards, and your morning ritual. Everything the most elegant, vital, and undeniable version of you needs, built into one system for less than a dinner out. It's linked in the description below, or scan the QR code on your screen. But here's where most people stop, and stopping here leaves you with an incomplete framework. Because you can pare a wardrobe down to the smartest 33 pieces in the world, and it still won't read as intentional if those pieces don't actually fit your body. That's the next piece, and it's the one almost nobody tells you about. 2. The $50 fix. Every wardrobe article on the internet directs you toward accessories, toward layering tricks, toward buying something new. The single intervention that produces the largest measurable shift in how your existing clothes read to other people is structural, and it costs less than a nice dinner out. There's a study, Howlett, Pine, Oracciolo, and Fletcher, published in the Journal of Fashion Marketing and Management, that showed 274 participants' images of the exact same man, face blanked out entirely, wearing a bespoke suit in one image and an off-the-rack suit in the other for a maximum of 5 seconds each. The man in the bespoke suit was rated as measurably more confident, more successful, more flexible, and higher earning on every single attribute except trustworthiness. No face. No context. The only variable that changed was fit. I think about my father when I read research like this. He set a full table every night, even in years when the restaurant was struggling and money was genuinely tight, because he understood something instinctively that this study later proved with data. Presentation was never about how much something cost. It was about precision. Anthropometric research cited across tailoring literature confirms that only roughly 23% of women fit standard off-the-rack sizing without any alteration at all, which means up to 77% of women, the overwhelming majority of us, are walking around in clothes that are silently undercutting every other effort we've made. The fix. Before you decide a garment doesn't work and retire it to the back of the closet, take it to a tailor for a fit assessment. A waist taken in, a hem raised by 3 centimeters, a shoulder seam corrected. This runs between $20 and $60 per garment, and on the basis of this research, it is the single highest leverage styling intervention available to you. I mean this literally. Do not buy one new piece until every current piece in your active rotation actually fits your body as it is today. Without the next piece, though, a perfectly fitted blazer still won't solve the anxiety that creeps in the second time you wear it to the same group of people in 1 month. 3. The repetition myth. The anxiety around repeating an outfit is almost universal among women past 40 who attend regular professional or social events. I hear this constantly, and it's built entirely on an assumption the data simply does not support. Research reviewed by the Institute for Workforce Culture found that 68% of professionals no longer track their colleagues' wardrobes at all. The habit of noticing has largely disappeared from modern professional life. Separate recall studies go further, showing that individuals remember only 10 to 15% of what their coworkers wore even 1 week prior. You are not being watched the way your anxiety insists you are being watched. What actually determines whether repetition reads as signature or reads as shortage comes down to one variable, and one variable only: the condition of the garment and the intentionality behind how it's restyled each time it reappears. Angela Merkel wore the same handful of blazer cuts in rotation for 16 years in public life. Christine Lagarde built an entire recognizable identity out of one scarf and one structured jacket, repeated across decades of appearances. Neither woman was ever perceived as limited by it. Both were perceived as decided, as women who knew precisely who they were and didn't need to prove it with novelty. The signal repetition sends, done correctly, is never, "I have nothing else." It's, "I know exactly what works." The fix: identify your 5 best performing pieces, the ones that have generated genuine compliments, or the ones you simply feel most composed wearing, and name them your signature 5. Commit to rotating them deliberately, changing shoes, accessories, or one other variable each time they reappear. Wear each piece a minimum of 10 times over the next 6 months, styled differently on each occasion, before you even consider whether anything needs replacing. But a signature piece loses its entire power the moment it starts looking visibly tired. And that brings us to a tool almost every woman owns and almost every woman uses incorrectly. Number 4, the STEAM principle. Women spend money replacing clothes that have lost their presence while standing 2 feet away from the exact tool that would have restored it. Textile research on fiber behavior under steam confirms that steam actually penetrates organic fiber polymers, wool, cotton, silk, allowing the compressed molecular chains inside the weave to swell, untangle, and return to their natural 3-dimensional configuration. A hot iron pressed directly onto that same fiber without adequate steam applies raw mechanical force that permanently flattens the structure of the weave instead, and those compression marks accumulate with every single pressing over the garment's life. The loft in a fine fabric, that dimensional, slightly raised quality to the weave, is precisely what reads as expensive to the eye. Ironing flattens it out of existence, one pressing at a time. Steam restores it without damaging the fiber at all. The fix: use a vertical garment steamer on anything structured or draping: wool, silk, cashmere, fine cotton, linen blends. Reserve the iron strictly for flat cotton pieces that need a genuinely sharp crease, like a shirt collar or a linen trouser pleat. Steam your existing wardrobe thoroughly before you spend a single dollar on something new. That solves how your clothes physically present. It does nothing to solve whether you're actually spending your money wisely on them in the first place. And almost no woman has ever calculated the one number that answers that question honestly. 5. The number nobody calculates. The investment piece conversation online is always framed around which brand is worth spending more on. The research says the relevant variable was never the brand at all. It's a ratio most women have never applied to a single item they own. 𝐈𝐬𝐚𝐞𝐥𝐿 and 𝐈𝐬𝐅𝐓, in a set of 6 studies conducted through the University of Bath and Cambridge Judge Business School, found that simply showing shoppers the cost per wear of a garment, the purchase price divided by the number of times it's actually worn, significantly shifted preference toward higher quality, longer lasting pieces over cheaper alternatives. The effect was strongest for everyday wear, not occasion wear. Separately, Vestiaire Collective's analysis of over 13,400 respondents found that the average resold luxury item is worn 88 times, 76% more than the average fast fashion equivalent, which makes resale luxury roughly a third more affordable per wear than something cheap and new, despite the higher sticker price. Sit with the arithmetic for a moment. A 200-pound piece worn 100 times costs £2 per wear. A 40-pound piece worn 8 times before it loses its shape costs £5 per wear. The inexpensive piece is quietly the more expensive one. Most of our wardrobes contain dozens of pieces with a high cost per wear and a handful with a genuinely low one. But because none of us have ever done the arithmetic, we don't actually know which is which. The fix: assign an honest wear count and a calculated cost per wear to every piece currently in your wardrobe before you buy anything new. Anything under 10 wears needs a legitimate reason, a special occasion, a genuine replacement for something lost, before its cost per wear can be defended. Anything sitting above roughly £10 cost per wear is mathematically costing you more than a quality replacement would, regardless of what it originally cost you at checkout. And once you've worked through all 5 of these pieces, there is one final layer that ties the entire framework together. 6. The combination you can't see. Most women organize their wardrobes by garment type. Tops filed with tops, trousers filed with trousers, and then genuinely wonder why they keep reaching for the same 3 outfits on rotation. Belk's extended self-research, published in the Journal of Consumer Research, established that our possessions function as extensions of identity, but only when we engage with them actively and intentionally, not through passive ownership. Put simply, you cannot use what you cannot see in relationship to something else. A beautiful silk blouse filed under tops is only ever compared visually to the other tops beside it. It never meets the tailored trouser across the closet that would completely transform it, because the filing system itself keeps the two apart permanently without either of you realizing it. This is the piece that makes everything above it function as one complete system rather than 5 separate tips. A wardrobe that's smaller, better fitted, well-maintained, and financially efficient can still quietly underperform if it's organized in a way that hides its own best combinations from you. The fix: spend one full afternoon reorganizing your closet by occasion rather than garment type. Professional, weekend, evening. Within each occasion section, hang complete outfits together, shoes and bag included, and photograph each combination for a reference note on your phone. You will find pairings inside clothes you've owned for years that feel entirely, surprisingly new. The next step is the full blueprint, the Undeniables Complete System. 7 complete guides covering identity, presence, first impressions, social mastery, wellness, standards, and your morning ritual. Everything the most elegant, vital, and undeniable version of you needs built into one system for less than a dinner out. It is linked in the description or scan the QR code on your screen. You don't need a new wardrobe. You need the one you already own to finally be organized, fitted, maintained, and understood the way it deserves to be. Pick one of these 6 this week, just one, and come back and tell me which. I'll see you in the next one. Isabel.